What's happening, everybody? I'm Steve, and welcome back to Junkdrummer TV, where I give my analysis, my hot takes, and my initial reactions on the drummers of today and yesterday, and maybe tomorrow if I stick around that long. So during the filming of all of my videos, there is a black pit bull that sits right there. What's up, Bubba? Named Bonham. And that means this episode was inevitable. You can't have a drum channel without talking about the great, the late, unfortunately, John Henry Bonham. I don't know what to say about him. What can I say that hasn't already been said? He's the most popular, the most beloved, the most known drummer. Your mom may not know drummers, but she knows who John Bonham is. I existed after the year 1969, so of course I am a gigantic Led Zeppelin fan. Let me tell you about how I found out about Led Zeppelin. Boys and girls, there used to be music on MTV, and I'm not going to let this turn into a video of another old guy bitching about how there used to be music on MTV, but they did. And in 1990, I was about 13 or 14 years old. MTV worked hand in hand with Led Zeppelin, and they spent a whole weekend promoting the Led Zeppelin box set. I spent the whole weekend in front of the television. I think I may even tried to skip a baseball game because I was playing baseball, and I was like, I don't want to play baseball. I just want to watch Led Zeppelin because I just heard about them. I've just heard them. You know, my dad grew up, the music my dad listened to was country music and southern rock. I'd never heard Led Zeppelin before. All weekend, I sat in front of the little 13-inch TV that I had in my bedroom, and I just watched everything that they played. They played every video that had been made. They played Song Remains the Same. I don't think they had played the Madison Square Garden video, which is what we're going to be watching today. They played every interview. They played every Robert Plant solo track. It was all Led Zeppelin all weekend, and my life was changed. So of course, that Christmas, the only thing I wanted was the Led Zeppelin box set. And on Christmas Day, I got the Led Zeppelin box set. I got the cassette tapes, and it was, it's the one with the crop circles on the front. And it had 4 cassette tapes. Yeah, kids, look it up. And I would just play side A, tape 1, and then I would go systematically through all 4, and then I would do it again, and I would go through all 4 cassette tapes, and I would do it again, and I did that for years probably. And John Bonham was the reason that I wanted to be a good drummer, on top of Phil Collins and Dave Grohl. You've probably heard me talk about that in other episodes, but John Bonham, he's the alpha and he's the omega. He's the most mimicked drummer in the world. We all do John Bonham licks. If you watch the solo that I just uploaded for my 5,000 subscriber celebration, thanks everybody, by the way, there was a section in there where I played the John Bonham rolling triplet drum fill. And I've even said in other videos that we've done, we should have a counter of what drummer doesn't do a John Bonham thing. If you listen to Bonham all the time, he will take over your drumming. It's just so fucking cool. The way that he plays is just the best way to play drums. I could just sit here and talk all day about how much I love John Bonham, but we got to get into the video. So, this is John Bonham with the legendary Led Zeppelin, and they're going to be doing The Ocean, and this is from the Madison Square Garden video. The 70s. Of course, I don't remember the 70s, but man, I wish I was there. Damn, Robert Plant, is that real? Okay, so I use this song to teach my students how to play 7/8. The guitar riff intro of this is a 4/4 measure followed by 7/8, and it goes back and forth like that. Let's talk about 7/8 real quick. I'm going to do this as quickly as possible. 4/4 means 4 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you can do your math and you do that to equations, that means 8 eighth notes. So if you're playing in 7/8, you're taking the very last eighth note off of 4/4 time. 4/4 time being 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. To play in 7/8, you go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1. Led Zeppelin, of course, played a lot of odd times in their songs. The one thing that I liked about their odd times, and I think that this is, I think prog music is guilty of this especially, when you go to write something in an odd time, you kind of go out of your way to get cheeky and write something in like 15/16 or something. All the odd times in Led Zeppelin's music felt very organic. It felt very much like Jimmy Page just happened to write a riff that just happens to be in 7/8. It's one of the things I love about Led Zeppelin the most. Robert Plant, you gotta get out of here with that. Okay, so that lick right there. That's one of the most common John Bonham ripped off licks ever. He's playing 2 30-second notes on the bass drum. I think that John Henry Bonham had the greatest right foot in all of drumming. I mean, you all can bitch about that in the comments section all you want, but I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. What he's doing right here in that verse is the measure that he's playing. He's playing 1 and a 2E, 3, 4. Hopefully you can hear that. I've got my electronic bass drum pedal down here. And what you're doing is you're taking that and you're making it into 2 30-second notes. Like that. The way that I learned how to do that, I went to an HBCU, and there were a lot of gospel cats running around the music department, and this one dude named Maurice, he showed me how to do that. And I don't know John Bonham's trick to play those 2 30-second notes, but the way that I do it, if you think about the bass drum pedal, you think about bouncing off the bottom of the bass pedal and up. Da-da, da-da, da-da. And that's how I do that. I don't know how he does that, but that's how I teach my students. There it is. I use that all the time. Man, John Bonham can take your drumming over. You listen to a lot of Led Zeppelin, you play that next gig, and all of a sudden you're playing all the Bonham licks. Stuart Copeland's like that for me, too. Man, this is just, they're the best rock band. Just look at them. Look how fucking cool they are. They just played the coolest music. There it is. This is going to be another long video because I have lots of things to say about John Bonham. I'm not talking about you. So one of the things I think that people get wrong about John Bonham is they just think of, God of Thunder, loud over-the-top drums. Well, man, that's only half the battle. He's a finesse player as well. He's funky as shit. If you listen to most of their songs that are in this kind of tempo, things are slightly swung. Bonham's favorite drummers were the James Brown drummers. The rolling triplet lick. He got that from Elvin Jones. There's a lot of jazz and funk and swing in his playing. John Bonham birthed a lot of the hard rock drummers that came after him, and I think a lot of those cats got wrong the fact that he was funky. Listen to Out on the Tiles or The Crunge. That shit is funky as hell. We all want to be John Bonham when we grow up. We just can't. It just sucks he's still not around. He always choked up on the stick really far, if you notice. He always had a lot of stick behind his hand. The way that him and John Paul play I think they're the best rhythm section in rock and roll. I think they're the best rock and roll band in the world. You can say the Beatles, and that's fine, but for me, it's Led Zeppelin, baby. Look at these dudes. This will never happen again. A band this great, where every player is this iconic, innovative, singular musician, it will never happen again. Record labels won't let that happen because they don't have too much power. Huh? Is John Bonham singing backups? In all of my years, I'm 43 years old. I found them when I was 13. I never knew that John Bonham was the one that sang background vocals. I didn't know that. And singing great background vocals. Okay, so on this recording, the thing about Led Zeppelin 2, they improvised, they invented live. They did not play the record. On the third verse, go back and check out the original version. Every time that thing comes in, he plays something different. That makes a lot of sense because it's the third time through and you want to do something different than you did the first two times. That's just good studio composition. I don't know if you'll do it here. This is the triplet fill thing. Play the sextuple instead. You know, that's not the lick from the recording. Yeah, man. Him and John Paul were always going for it. That's where you find the nuggets. That's the stuff that makes you get off when you play live and you find that new stuff. Those are songs you've played 1,000 times. And then now it's more fun for you to play because you're not just recreating the recording. Oh, man. They're the greatest. That right there. That that whole thing was in 4/4, and there's a 7/8 stuff in there. On a dime, they switch, they speed up, and they go into 12/8 like it's nobody's business. You can only do that if you are a tight band who have played thousands and thousands of hours together. You have to have this telepathy with everyone else on stage where you're here's the tempo, and the downbeat of the very next measure is a completely different tempo, and everybody's on that same tempo. That is really hard to do. Love this bass line. Those hits, I've always felt that those were very kind of big bandy. He's playing a big triplet fill. That's, if you ever play in a big band situation, you do a lot of those unison hits with the rest of the band. And where we're in 12/8 anyway and we're swinging, I always felt like that sounded like, rock and roll version of big band. When I was in college, my professor, Dr. Shriver, I've talked about him on here before, he always talked about the way you could deal with those hits. You could either just hit them right on, where they're written, unison figures on your chart, or you can drum solo into them and then solo in between them, and that's what's going on right here. And when it comes back around, Tom Jones. Don't want to be John Bonham. At some point in your development of drumming, you're just not going to get there, man. This is mandatory listening. Robert Plant, sexiest man in rock and roll. John Bonham, the greatest rock and roll drummer of all time, man. Yes. Fucking yes, yes, yes. Whew. I know what I'll be listening to for the next 2 weeks. It's Led Zeppelin, John Henry Bonham, God of Thunder. Again, if your drumming doesn't at some point drive through Led Zeppelin, there's a good chance that you're just not a great drummer, man. I've never heard anyone, and if anyone has, please tell me about them in the comments section. I've never heard somebody be like, you know what, man, John Bonham, I don't get it. Led Zeppelin, I don't get it. Ugh, that's never happened. I've even heard people talk about the Beatles, or like people don't like the Beatles. I have a band member that says he doesn't like the Beatles. He almost had to walk to a gig after he said that in the van once. Shout out, Jared. Man, it's Led Zeppelin. That, of course, that's where I stopped the video right there on Robert Plant's, thing area. This is the greatest question that I ever got from a student. His name was Ricky, and I never remember students' names after they've been gone because I've had thousands. And little Ricky, one time, he came in and he was like, man, what do good musicians listen to? And I was blown away. I was like, what a great fucking question. And I didn't even think about it. I just said Led Zeppelin. And I think that says it all. John Henry Bonham. Listen to him. I'll be doing more videos of his down the road because I have a drum channel. You know what? I also want to give a shout out. I get asked a lot to do lessons on this channel, and I'm going to be honest, I do like 55 lessons a week, and the last thing I want to do when I get home is do more lessons. I want to do stuff like this analyzing stuff really like makes my mind work better, and I really enjoy it. There is a drum teacher on YouTube. His name is Steven Tyler with a PH. Great first name, by the way, and he has some great videos showing John Bonham licks and like Bonham stuff you need to play. Go check out Steven Tyler. So there you go. John Henry Bonham, Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant, John Paul Jones, Jimmy Page, Amber Vista Lights. If you don't like that, you're in the wrong channel. That video will not be monetized. I used an official video from them. So if you all could really help me out with share, liking, and commenting all of my content, that would really help me out. Please give me a double tap on the subscription and the notification bell. And remember, the song remains the same, and keep practicing until it's easy. Who's good girl, Bonham? Who good girl? Good girl, Bonham. Good girl.